Simon Told Helen wins a half length. Zach Manelli second.
Welcome to Greyhound Gossip.
Peaky Blinders start cheering for Tommy Shelby wins the WA Sprint Championship final.
Featuring Peter O'Neill and Leia Ernest.
Mozza moves up to Mermaid Manelli. Fab's Gem 3 deep. Here comes Fab's Gem.
Hardstyle Rico by 5 lengths to Simon Told Helen. Third Tommy Shelby.
This segment is dedicated to the discussion and promotion of greyhound racing.
Cindy's Oliver, Rockstar Patriot, Paul Stewart, back-to-back with Rockstar Patriot in the Galaxy.
Handsome Prince, a bolder clear. The former Tasmanian Handsome Prince has won the $1 million chase.
A very good morning, everyone. Tuned into Greyhound Gossip this Monday, and a very good morning to you, Peter O'Neill.
Leia, good morning. How was your weekend?
Oh, it was wonderful. Had Saturday off and worked in the studio Sunday, but the weather was quite lovely actually yesterday, so soaked up some sunshine. What about you?
Good on you. Yeah, no, I worked most of the weekend and enjoyed a good night of greyhound racing. It was a funny night on Saturday night. First of all, we'll touch on the high, and that was Solidified, who was brilliant crossing from box number 5. It was surprising the way the race panned out for me, but he was able to get across and lead and take out the spring gift final. So a really good win for the Crystal Shinners train Solidified. The favourite Electrified missed the start, and that put him out of the race, but it was strange in the fact that the last 6 winners on the program were all from box number 4. You're a lot younger than me, so you probably haven't seen that before. We started off the night races 2 to 5, where box number 5 was successful, and then the last 6 races we saw box number 4 salute, so that was something different.
Was there something different going on with the track at all, Pete, or just one of those nights?
I think it was just one of those nights where maybe it was a 3/4 moon shining down, and so you threw out the form book and just followed the colours. And our next special guest is a guy that would probably be well aware of some things strange that happen on racetracks, and that is Tim Newbold, who's about to join us. And just before we get to Tim, we've been promoting the Hillsville Cup, and there was a bit of an upset. One of the favourites won, maybe yesterday, defeated Unleashed Kalinda in a really good race at Hillsville yesterday. But Tim Newbold's been good enough to join us this morning. Of course, we're warming up with the $1 million chase just around the corner. Tim, as I say, good morning to you. Leia Ernest with us as well. I was mentioning the last 6 races at Cannington on Saturday night all came from box number 4 in your calling career. Do you ever remember coming across something like that?
Yeah, good morning, Pete and Leia. No, probably not all in a row, Pete. No, certainly not. There, over the years, you've always had at certain meetings, you'd have a run of number 1s or even the pink. But 6 in a row from the 4 alley, that is quite unusual and unique. I guess if your favourite number was 4 or your favourite colour blue, you've had an absolute fill-up on Saturday night.
You certainly have. Speaking of fill-ups, we've seen some qualifiers already go around, and WA has a flavour, of course, with the national sprint. And Sage Tennille qualifying after winning the national sprint. We've seen Goulburn and Taree, Dapto, Dubbo, Broken Hill over the weekend, and we've got more races coming up today. Of course, Maitland with the final there and heats at Temora. So it's all warming up, isn't it, for the $1 million chase as we count down to the feature final in October?
Oh, sure is, Pete. Right in the thick of things now. Bull Eye tomorrow, the final, Casino later on in the week, and then we've got the heats of the Blacktop at the Gardens on Friday night. And this year, like we did with the Megastar, the Blacktop and Megastar has been incorporated into the $1 Million Chase series this year. So whoever finish top 3 in those. Both of those series go through to the semi-finals, and we saw a crackerjack field at Dapto last Thursday night on the Victorian Umberto. He's got through for along with Mortified and Remember This, and so it'll be interesting at the Gardens this coming Friday. We are expecting a number of interstaters to come up and target the Blacktop, because it's not only a golden ticket into the semi-finals, got a chance to run for 40,000 first prize in the big final as well. So we changed it up this year with those 2 particular races at Dapto and the Gardens, and so far it's certainly worked. As I said, our view here in greyhound racing New South Wales is we don't want the interstaters to win. the ultimate prize. If we don't, but we want you here. And we want you to be competing in it. And Pete, if you go back a few years ago, go back to 2020, that edition of the MDC, that was the highest wagered race in New South Wales Greyhound history. And when you look at it, a big reason for that is we had a South Australian in Shadow Mist. We had Tommy from over there. We had a few Victorians. We had New South Wales. So all states are represented. So when you've got all states represented in these big races, you get more coverage. Like I know at the time, Tommy was featuring on your news over there. It was identical down in South Australia as well. So, yeah, we want to see the interstaters come in. I'm not saying we want to win, but we want them here. And that was a big carrot with the Nationals this year too, guys, with the first, second, third and fourth all qualifying straight into the semi-finals, and it's great to see Sage O'Neill for Codey get through because, we'd love to see it make the big one.
And the exposure that you're getting from the eastern states with the big name trainers from Victoria and Queensland, and hopefully we'll see some more from WA in the next coming weeks. It's been great for the regional areas, hasn't it? Where with some of the greyhounds, Dapto obviously gets the big names because of the megastar, but places like Broken Hill and Taree, and we see some heats at Temora today and Maitland where they probably wouldn't see these quality greyhounds and trainers there very often.
Yeah, you're spot on there, Pete. It gives those tracks to the opportunity to attract those big name interstate trainers, and it's good to see trainers targeting those regional series rather than just waiting for the last chance at the city qualifiers of Woodworth Park. We have seen probably a little bit of a trend in the last couple of years where particularly the Victorians have just sort of sat back and waited and said, we're just going to have a crack at the city qualifiers. We're not going to go to any of the regional areas. But it is good that they are sort of starting to get out to those areas, and it is great for those clubs. When you've got those interstate trainers and those really good dogs, those top liners getting to the regional tracks, it's fantastic to see.
Tim, you and Pete just touching on the rural aspect of the race, but the $1 Million Chase has been introduced since, 2018, which is the richest greyhound race in the world. Have you found that in the last 6 years it's attracted more than support not only from Australia but internationally as well?
Well, I wouldn't say, we haven't had any greyhounds come over, internationally for the series, but it certainly does attract a lot of attention, overseas, particularly, if you look at the social media and various, personalities overseas, they're tuning into the $1 Million Chase and watching, and I think many participants who are based overseas, they're envious of what we've got here in Australia, whether it is the $1 Million Chase, whether it's the Phoenix or whatever big cup there is around in Australia, the big prize money. So they are certainly watching from afar, which is always good to see. It's great to be going, international, and you've got that attention on greyhound racing here in New South Wales, and not even just New South Wales, but anywhere in the country.
Yeah, I don't think greyhound racing is slowing down anytime soon. I've got the markets here for the $1 Million Chase, pre-nominations, of course, and there is only one runner under double figure odds here with Tab Touch, Postman Pat at $6, and then we've got Amron Boy, Victor Damien, both $10, Alpha Zulu, Zipping Remus, $13, Sage O'Neill, our WA chaser, as well as Elite Machine, both $15 alongside Mortified and Kelsey Bale, and then $17 upwards the rest. What are your thoughts on the market?
I think they've got it pretty much right. Postman Pat, he's got a touch of freak about him. He was brilliant throughout his Queensland campaign, and then he finished fourth in the national sprint. Prior to that, his efforts in Victoria getting to the final were fantastic. And he's a greyhound who we know, without a shadow of a doubt, will be primed to the minute. He's in the care of Jason Thompson. So when he comes up for semi-final night, you are guaranteed he'll be right on song. And he's a greyhound who, looking at his racing traits, he'll love Wentworth Park. He'd be suited to Wentworth Park. And, even what he's done on other tracks, I dare say he'd probably be a 29-3 dog around Weddy. So I think he's a deserved favourite at this point in the game. I think, well, she's not really valued, but she's already qualified in Mortified here for New South Wales. She's currently $15. Look, she came through the Megastar. She was a gallant second behind Umberto. We know she can run mind-boggling figures at Wentworth Park. So I've got to be a little bit parochial here, and if I've got to plump on one a little, at least double figures, around the $15 mark, I'd be sort of looking toward Mortified at this point.
Now, Tim, I spoke with Jamie Marsh over the weekend. He's having a few issues with Elite Machine, so he might not be coming across in time for the October 6th semi-finals, but you could have a couple more WA greyhounds coming across, including Electrified, who started favourite in our spring gift and solidified from the Crystal Shinners kennel. So I'm sure you'll see a few WA dogs and maybe even Crumble Manelli, who won our Sandgroper earlier in the year. We appreciate your time, and I know you filled in for the Deputy CEO this morning, Wayne Billett, and I wanted to ask Wayne, and hopefully you might be able to answer the question, but we're going to see a change, 6-month trial in New South Wales over the next 6 months, obviously, with Metropolitan Racing beginning at Richmond.
Yeah, there has been a change. The Board of Directors of Greyhound Racing New South Wales ratified that change last week, and it is only a trial at this point in time. So Richmond will race on a Wednesday night for provincial plus prize money, which is basically the second level of prize money for Metropolitan Racing here in New South Wales, and then Wentworth Park will then move to a Friday night, and Richmond's moving away from that Friday night. So they're basically swapped nights. So Richmond to Wednesday, Wenny Park to Friday night. It'll be interesting to see how it is received. There's been a few mixed responses, I guess, in the last 72 hours to the move, but it is only a 6-month trial. So we are stressing it is a 6-month trial, and after we go through the your way up nomination flow and the wagering and whatnot over the next few months, and just see where we land, and then probably a decision moving forward after there will be made. But I think if we just sit on our hands and don't make any changes, you can get left behind. So it's a little bit of a tinker with the Metropolitan program here in New South Wales, but all in all, it's actually more prize money up for grabs for participants here, because you're basically getting 2 provincial plus meetings at Richmond and Wentworth Park, where you've only had one prior, and then you've got your big Saturday night prize money meeting. So it'll be interesting to see where we land, but I think we'll monitor it.
Good on you, mate. Thanks for joining us. Good luck over the next few weeks. And as we lead into the final of the $1 Million Chase, we'll try and get you on beforehand and get your thoughts and see whether New South Wales can keep that prize money in your state.
We'll be aiming to. Thanks, guys. Been a pleasure.
Good on you. Good on you. Timmy Newbold, who's always good of giving his time, and he was off the bench this morning, so we really appreciate him taking our call. We're about to head across to Melbourne, and a guy who is certainly getting bigger than Ben Hur. We're lucky that we can afford to have him on the show. Leia, he's on a new podcast called Green Light On, and it's getting viewers and also ears from all around the world, and that is Corey Smith, the MGRA racing manager, and he joins us this morning. Corey, good morning.
Good morning, Pete. Gee, that's a fair rap, mate. I reckon you've been too kind to me there.
I don't know. I really enjoyed your podcast that you did last week on the Hillsville Cup, some professionalism there, and you must have been thrilled with the outcome and the race, the way it panned out yesterday.
Yeah, for sure, Pete. It's probably been built up for a few months as a bit of a clash of the titans between maybe yesterday and Unleashed Kalinda, and it absolutely lived up to the hype with those 2 dogs finishing 1, 2, and Quinlan Bale and Nicholson Bale, who were affectionately known as the Bash Brothers over here. They come in 3rd and 4th, so it was an absolute ripping Hillsville Cup. Unfortunately, the weather wasn't all that kind to us, and we probably would have much preferred to hold it on the heat day, which was perfect weather, but as you know, in Melbourne, you can't really rely upon that. But outside of that, the racing was unbelievable, and the stories that come out of it are great too.
It certainly are. The Phoenix is not too far away. Saturday night, December 16, the Phoenix 2023, $1.65 million in stake money, $1 million first prize, and you're promoting it this year as the Great 8, as you announced the slot holders last week. Yeah,
it's obviously a really exciting time for us here at the MGRA, the Meadows. this time of year it's nice and busy trying to get these slot holders together and make everything work and announce it all properly. But we've managed to get a really nice mix of 8 slot holders for this year's edition. As you said, the Great 8, we called them the other day, and we're really happy with the mix. We've got obviously wagering kind of behemoths, basically, in Sportsbet, Tabcorp and Ladbrokes all being involved. But then we've got a couple of small businesses in Total Container Solutions and Good Bloke Society and Greyhounds HQ, who I know announced their Greyhound yesterday, which was nice and quick off the back of the announcement Friday about the slot holders. And then, of course, the racing jurisdiction being Racing Queensland and RSN 927 as well as a media company. So it's a really nice mix. I think it enables us to kind of target different markets and get a bit of cut through outside the greyhound industry.
Corey, there's a mix of participants that have been in the Phoenix before as well as new participants. What goes into selecting the 8 slot holders?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that go into it. Obviously, we have an independent assessment panel chaired by former Premier of Victoria and Dennis Napsheim who go through it. So it's not really us selecting it at the Meadows. We kind of outsource that to make sure that integrity-wise it's all good. It goes through the GRV integrity unit as well, just to make sure that everyone's all above board and everyone's nice and happy with it. But, there's plenty of different factors that go into it. Obviously, the marketability of the race is very important. It's one of the utmost important things that go into the selection process, but it's also just having a bit of diversity as well. So being able to get different target markets and different plans and different ideas coming through from plenty of different people and plenty of different organisations is probably the overarching selection criteria.
And the process begins around 6 months prior to the running of the race itself. Would you recommend those who are interested in applying for a 2024 slot to maybe start making plans early next year or even now if they're interested in taking part?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, this far out, it can always be difficult to try and start putting a plan together. But anyone that comes to the Phoenix, and I know Pete will be venturing across later this year, I think anyone that comes across wants to be a part of it. So to be able to get your thinking together, your planning together all nice and early, it kind of obviously helps the selection process. We had the selection process open for 6 weeks this year, and we'll look at that again next year, whether we extend it, whether we bring it earlier. We'll kind of make those decisions once we get through the Phoenix this year. But I think that you're better off, you're much better off and fire it ahead.
What did you think?
And making sure that you can get the money together.
Sorry, what did you think of Harry Buchanan, who was on the Aftermath yesterday morning here on TAB Radio, announcing that Greyhounds HQ have selected Postman Pat? He's the $3 favourite for the race. We know how good he is, but they've certainly jumped on very early, haven't they, considering there's still 2 or 3 months before the final?
Yeah, obviously the final field isn't declared until the Sunday prior to the race, so realistically anything can happen at this point. But locking away Postman Pat, he's the name on everyone's lips at the moment. He's probably the most exciting greyhound in Australia at this stage of the. I think it increases the talkability. He'll go to the $1 million chase. He'll probably go to a Top Gun and the like. And he's going to be, everything's going to be kind of tailored towards the Phoenix. And that's going to be the talking point throughout all these big race series, which can only be a good thing for the race. And while anything can happen, we know the greyhound game can be fickle at times. I think Postman Pat is a deserving first slot to go public with. And I think the team behind Greyhounds HQ are nice and excited, that's for sure.
They certainly should be as well. Total Container Solutions, who won our Sandgroper with the Crumble Manelli earlier this year, they've got a slot as well, so they must be excited, and you must be excited to have them on board.
Yeah, very much so. As I touched on a little bit earlier, I think having the small business sort of aspect is great. The connections that they have in greyhound racing, Shane O'Hare, the managing director of Total Container Solutions, he's a great fella and obviously has the connections with the likes of Angela Langton, Jeff Britton, Linda Britton, Chris Hulse, Robbie Britton, the likes. So he's got plenty of connections inside the industry. He's an owner in his own right as well. So for them to kind of essentially roll over the winnings from the Sandgroper and have a crack at the Phoenix, I think it's been great for us. I think it's great for the industry and probably ties together our 2 race series beautifully, being 6 months apart.
And I noticed one of the slot holders is the Good Bloke Society. I was doing some research into what they're all about, and you might be able to tell us a bit more, Corey, but it's a society that I'd probably be liking to join. They're a men's support network for business, social and wellness. They have long lunches, and they also promote men's health as well. And obviously they love greyhound racing and racing in general.
Yeah, exactly right. I think it really fits our demographic. I think the Good Bloke Society will really fit well into our race this year, and having an event on the night is exactly what they do. That's what they do as a business, as an organisation. They put together events for men to network, as you just touched on, and I think that having them come on the night on December 16th, I think that really provides us with a different sort of avenue and a different sort of process that they'll go through to get their greyhound. But I think it's just very different to what we've had in the first 2 years, and it's another good talking point.
It's interesting, a couple of WA dogs that are in the market. Sage to Neil at $18. King Tommy, who has gone over different journeys over here, at $31. But one that sort of stands out for me, and I'd be interested on your thoughts and where she's at the moment, and that is the Wow She's Fast, who's won the inaugural 2 runnings of the Phoenix for Sportsbet. And, of course, she recently was crowned the Australian Greyhound of the Year. Is she likely to be right for a race like the Phoenix in December?
Oh, if you had have asked me the question 6 weeks ago, I probably would have said that I'd be shocked if we saw her on the racetrack again. I think I've said that on various media platforms over the last few months. But at the Victorian Greyhound Awards, which was the week before the Nationals, Cal and Jackie Greeno won an award and went up there, and naturally they were asked about how she's going and where she is, and they're just going to take it really slowly. They're going to give her every opportunity to be right and aim up for a 3rd consecutive Phoenix. And to win 3 races in a row is unbelievable, year on year on year. So for her to even be thinking about having a crack at it, that would be arguably the best talking point we could have for the race. But she's just an absolute superstar, and the team behind her won't put her in any jeopardy at all. If she's not 100% right, they'll pull the pin, and I'm sure she'll head off to the breeding barn. But at this stage, I think it's a reasonable push from Jackie and Cal Greeno, who are normally quite reserved, by not retiring her and giving her every opportunity that they're really going to have a crack at it.
Well, the Grade 8 have been announced, and the Phoenix comes up on Saturday, the 16th of December. $1.65 million overall, a $1 million first prize. Haven't we got some exciting racing over the next few months, Corey? The $1 million chase is in full swing, and then, of course, all eyes go towards the Melbourne Cup and the Top Gun, the Hume Cup as well, and then, of course, the Phoenix at the end of the year. It's going to be a great lead up to Christmas.
Yeah, exactly right. I'm nice and excited, and it'll be good to see what greyhounds can come over from WA. You touched on a couple there that are in the market, and I think Sage to Neil, after a Group 1 win here at the Meadows, would be a worthy candidate for a Phoenix slot. So we'll see what happens, but I'm nice and excited, and I think it's going to be great for greyhound racing over the next few months.
Good on you, Corey. Make sure you keep your price down, mate, so that we can afford to get you on again before the Phoenix and the Melbourne Cup. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers, Pete. Cheers, Leia.
Good on you. Corey Smith, who's the racing manager for the Melbourne Greyhound Racing Authority, and he does a great job in promoting the sport. Big day of racing today, Leia, up at Northam, so I'll be heading up there. The first race a little bit later today at 1:44, and of course greyhound racing coming up during the week at Cannington. And the way Mandra's progressing at the moment, it looks really good that we'll be returning to racing at Mandurah at the end of October, so that's pretty exciting news for those down in the Peel region that have had to do some extra travelling over the last 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, just under 2 months, and then we'll have Mandurah kicking off, and a big exciting rest couple of months for the year, Peter, especially the early start of the year. We've got a lot of great racing here in WA as well, so we'll be busy on Greyhound Gossip.